All right, we are back with another pick'em video. Going to be talking Thursday night football in this one. We got the Buccaneers and the Falcons. Looking for a good game because I got a 4-man stack over on PrizePicks. I also have 2 additional plays that we're going to talk about here. So ultimately going to bring you guys 6 plays, talk about the hit rates, talk about the odds, and you can choose, pick and choose your favorite ones, put it into a 6-man, whatever you want to do there. I also have a really big announcement to make with basketball starting in just a little bit, like 20 days, 19 days. Actually, preseason starts tomorrow. EuroLeague basketball I just saw is on PrizePicks. I actually just put in a bet because I wanted to watch some basketball with something behind it. But yeah, I've got a pretty big announcement. It's got to do with fantasy basketball. It's got to do with 12-team leagues that I'm going to be hosting for up to $500 in cash prizes. And the entry fee is nothing. It's going to be free for you guys to join. Really excited about it. Hopefully a lot of people join and we have a lot of fun. And again, they're going to be free up to $500. One of my leagues is going to be $500. The other ones I think are going to be $300, maybe $150 on some of them. But yeah, free for you guys to join. You can join as many as you'd like as well. And all the information is going to be in the description of this video. I'm also going to talk about it a little bit later. But let's talk Thursday night football first. Get some PrizePicks plays out for you guys. I'm feeling pretty good today on this Thursday, so hopefully we have a profitable day. But if you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe. Leave the video a like, comment something down below, and yeah, let's just jump into the PrizePicks board to start things off. Okay, so jumping into the PrizePicks desktop screen, of course, stacking on football is so important, and that's what we're going to do to start things off. So we're going to have a quarterback on each team and then one of their receivers that the one that I'm kind of like favoring for the day. So Baker Mayfield here, and you're going to see that I took the passing plus the rushing yards. When we look at his outlier page, we're going to see that the Falcons have given up a decent amount of yards on the ground, especially to quarterbacks. We know that Baker's able to scramble. He's had a few games over 20, 30 rushing yards. And the difference between his rushing and his passing line, you can see at 244.5 and 253.5. So we only need 9 yards to make up for that difference. And again, I can see him scrambling a few times, getting 15, 20 yards on the ground, maybe more, and that'll just be icing on the cake. Again, hopefully this game's going to be a shootout. I'm expecting, it's a low-scoring game, but hopefully that means back and forth and, Baker trying to do his thing. We know he can throw the ball, and the guy right below him has been his number 1 target so far this year, kind of taking that from Mike Evans. So real quick, going to look at Baker Mayfield, kind of why I landed on passing plus rushing, I just explained. But also the last 10 games, he's gone over this line in 70% of those games. Same hit rate pretty much as his passing yards, but again, specifically, if you go in here and you look at the rushing yards allowed for the Atlanta Falcons, you see they're ranked 25th in rushing yards allowed, 145.5 rushing yards to be had. And if we go into his rushing yards line, we can actually see that to quarterbacks specifically, they're dead last, 41 rushing yards to quarterbacks so far this year, as an average. So definitely some opportunity for him to scramble. He's had 21 yards, 34 yards, had none in that game where, they kind of had an off game, 26-7 there, and then did have 10 yards in the last game, and that would be enough to make up for the 9-yard gap between his passing yards and his combo line there. So I'm taking the passing plus the rushing, and then moving into Chris Godwin, 21.5 longest reception. I don't mind if you want to go to just his receiving yards, but his hit rate on this line has been really, really good. He's played them twice in the past year as well, and he crushed that line, 30-yard receptions in both those games. So let's take a look at his outlier page real quick. So I pulled up all of his stats so far, and I'm kind of sorting it by 2024. Obviously, Godwin's having an awesome year to start. He's going to be going over a lot of things. But his longest reception line at 21.5 kind of has the longest longevity, I guess, of being able to hit this in the last 10 games. You see it's a 70% hit rate, and the head-to-head, which I like to see, is a nice 100% hit rate. So that's kind of what I landed on and wanted to research a little bit more into. And it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, gone over this in 3 or 4 games this year, and then the 2 30-yard receptions in last year. That's something I want to look into. And if you look at the average sportsbook odds, a lot of them are at 21.5, and they're favoring the over, whether it's minus 120, minus 115, minus 117, minus 120, or some books are actually already over at 22.5, which makes me think, we're getting a pretty good line here at the 21.5 line for Godwin. So that's where I landed on for the Tampa Bay stack. I think it's pretty solid. If you want to go to Mike Evans, I don't mind it. Or if you want to take the unders, I would take those in unison as well. But stacking football is the way to go for sure. And that's how I'm rocking with Tampa Bay. Now let's move to the other side of the field. So I pulled up Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney. That's going to be the stack for the Falcons. You can see I added the rush yards for Kirk Cousins as well. It's only a 1 yard difference for Kirk, but Tampa Bay allows or forces a lot of QB hurries. So if Kirk needs to go up the sideline or just rush for a yard or two, or maybe goes up the sideline for 8 yards or something like that, I don't mind that little 1 yard difference here. And then for Mooney, he's getting a ton of targets, especially the last 3 games. And if he's connecting on those targets, he'll be crushing this line. I think he's already gone over this line. Yeah, he's gone over in this three the last 4 games anyway, or the first 4 games of the season. So, if that connection rate goes up a little bit higher, I think, he could soar over this line. And that's how I'm rocking with it. Hopefully it's an offensive game a shootout, and we see a lot of yards. But let's jump into some stats to kind of see where we're getting at here. For Kirk, obviously in a different situation from last year, and he's been right around this line the past 3 games, kind of a dud in game 1. Where they lost to Pittsburgh, but that defense is looking really good. And yeah, he's been right around this line. If we see ourselves in a shootout, minus 2.5 point spread, hopefully, both offenses are firing and we see a lot of yardage there. And then also for Kirk, I wanted to pull up his page right here. A lot of overs on PrizePicks. They seem to be lowering his lines than other books. So if you want to mess around with maybe pass attempts, there's the pass plus rush yards, passing yards just in general. A lot of stuff, even fantasy score, slightly favored on the over here. So I wanted to point that out as well. And then going into my projection model, another reason why I landed on passing plus rushing yards, you can see for passing yards, they're expecting 230 on a 232.5 line. That's a little bit under. But if you put into account that rushing yards line, obviously I'm very much nitpicking here. They do have the over projected over there. And let's go into Darnell Mooney's thing, kind of check out what he's been doing. Obviously, we looked at the last 5 games. But he's been able to get this line. I want to show you guys the receptions or the targets he's been getting. Obviously, receiving yards in a different role this year. Receptions to targets, how about 3 for 7 and still had 88 yards? Then he had 8 for 8. Obviously, that's a great. You can't get better than that. And he went for 66 yards. And then 3 for 6, going for 56 yards. If he's able to get 4 or 5 targets today, or not targets, receptions today, I think he'll be able to crush this line. And again, he seems like almost the number 1 target, right behind Drake London. But the last 3 games, it's been a lot of targets for him. So that's the way I'm running out this stack. Nice 4-man. I've submitted this exact play actually. Only an 8x because we're going to get banged for the correlation. But I'll take the correlation hit if we're going to win the play. And these are pretty correlated. So that's going to be the first 4 plays of the video. And then we still have 2 more plays to talk about for Thursday Night Football, but I kind of want to interrupt and tell you guys about a deal that's going to sound too good to be true. I'm showing the sleeper pick on sale, but there's so much more behind this, as I'm going to be hosting a bunch of fantasy basketball leagues completely free for you guys to join. Again, it's going to sound too good to be true, but you're going to be able to, if you win that fantasy basketball league, it's going to be 12-team leagues. If you win that, you're going to be able to win up to $500. It's going to be $150 leagues, $300 leagues, and a $500 league. First come, first serve basis. But yeah, real quick, pointing out sleeper, 0.5 yards for Kirk Cousins for any new users. Use code RICH when signing up. That's just RICH, RICH, pretty cool code. Wanted to point that out. And they also have a Wildcard Wednesday play from yesterday. This is still available though, 193.5 passing yards to Baker Mayfield. But going up here, I made the announcement today or very late last night. There's only been 1 sign up so far. And you can go ahead and pause the screen here and read all about this. But I'm literally going to be hosting these leagues, putting them together. I'm not going to be competing in them, so you don't have to worry about trying to beat me, just because I've played fantasy basketball for like the last 14 years of my life, which is more than half my life, which is insane. But yeah, this is all of it. Up to $500. There's going to be a 12-person sign-up limit for the first league. That's the $500 league. There's going to be 24 spots available for 2 $300 leagues, and then depending on the amount of demand we get, I'm going to be opening as many $150 leagues as we can do. Here's how to join. It's literally free for you guys. You're also going to get a free month of my Discord, which is $20 value right there. And you're going to get the deposit match on Sleeper or whatever app you decide to sign up for. But yeah, really take a look into this. I'm not going to explain it because it'll take me a long time. I could talk about this forever. I'll probably make a video just talking about this, honestly. But yeah, super duper excited. Again, if you're already on Sleeper, you can use one of my other platforms. And if you're already on all those, refer a friend or something like that. But I don't want to take too much time. All the description of this or all the information of this is in the description down below. And there's nothing really better than the competition and the fun of fantasy basketball with the incentive of, hey, I'm in a prize pool that's completely free for me to join and I could win up to $500. That's pretty sweet. So let's get back to Thursday Night Football, but definitely take your time and kind of look into this. It's super easy. And yeah, really want to just give back to you guys. So I appreciate everyone. So moving along to our fifth play, our second to last play, I got K. Dotton over 29.5 receiving yards. The past 2 weeks, he's had a ton of targets, a ton of yardage after a really slow start. A couple tight ends in the league have started off the year pretty slow, but Dotton kind of broke out of that. Him and Baker have had a better connection over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to try to ride that, and we've got a lot of good data points pointing in the right direction here. First of all, over on DG Fantasy, again, if you're interested in any of the tools also, and you're like, damn, that looks like an awesome tool, link in the description for any of those if you want to check them out. You just get perks for using my codes, whether it's a free trial or a discount on your first month. Definitely check those out in the description down below. But we got K. Dotton right here. A lot of overs. They're saying PrizePicks is undervaluing him. You can go to his fantasy score. You can go to his receiving yards. That's kind of where I pointed to. And last, kind of in unison here, K. Dotton receiving yards right here. 33.56 on his 29.5 line. That's what RotoWire is projecting. They also like his over fantasy score if you want to be looking at either one of those. But let's look at his outlier page. Going into what he did the first 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks, 47 and 52 yards. Also, if you look at Atlanta's receiving yard defense, overall they're ranked 12th, middle of the road, but then the tight ends ranked 18th, so they give up a decent amount more to tight ends, which I like to see. And then, just look at the target share, 2, 2, and then 8 and 9 monster target receptions, and he's kind of getting into his groove. And again, him and Baker just kind of continuing to work off each other. So I like Cade today. I don't mind putting him in the same slip as Baker, passing plus rushing. Him and Godwin are going to be able to do this together, hopefully. So if you want to throw us into a 6-man or a 5-man, I don't mind that at all. But the next play is going to be an under. So if you want to, take Kirk Cousins over and then an under on the guy we're going to talk about in a second, that doesn't correlate very well. But anyway, let's talk about our last play, Kyle Pitts. Speaking of tight ends that have kind of started off the season slow, Kyle Pitts, I'm taking this under fantasy score at 8.0. I actually wouldn't put this into a 6-man. It just doesn't go well. If Kirk Cousins is going to be passing the ball a ton, Kyle Pitts could be in on that action. But it's a great play to, put into a different play or something else that you're thinking about. But Kyle Pitts under 8.0 fantasy score, I'm really liking this one as well. Going into some market value, what DG Fantasy is saying, they're saying, hey, probably take the under here. And that's because everyone else is around the 7.0 area, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3. So they're saying, probably take the under. PrizePicks might be a little bit too high. And we also see that kind of in unison with RotoWire here. They're projecting 7.54 on an 8.0 line. So even though they like his receiving yards, they do like his fantasy score on the under. I don't think he gets in the end zone today. Obviously, if he does, that's going to be the play right there. He's going to go over in one reception. But if he doesn't stay, get into the end zone, he's going to cap out at around 5 targets. If the defense is able to knock away, a few of those, I'm going to go to receiving yards here. If the defense is able to knock away a few of those, he's pretty much capping out at 5 targets. And, it's going to be tough for him to get there in 2, 3 receptions, even 4 receptions. He might not be able to get there. So I'm taking the under on Kyle Pitts. Came up with a goose egg last game, 0 for 3 in terms of targets and receptions. And Tampa Bay's defense against tight ends, pretty middle of the road, not too bad, not too great. But I'm sticking with the numbers on this one. Everything kind of pointing in the right direction for Kyle Pitts is under 8.0 fantasy score, and that's going to do it. Those are the 6 plays for the day. So a little recap here. Baker Mayfield, I'm stacking with Chris Godwin. Obviously going to be a lot of correlation in this play. Longest reception for Chris Godwin. He's able to crush that in the last 7 games or 7 of the last 10 games. And then Baker, hopefully this correlates well and Baker's able to throw the ball a decent amount. And we're hoping for a shootout because we're also taking the Kirk Cousins over with Darnell Mooney. Ton of targets. Just needs to corral them in. Was 8 for 8 in 2 games ago. So if he can replicate that, he'll crush this line. And then the last 2 guys, the tight ends, K. Dotton taking the over here, correlates pretty well with Baker. And then Kyle Pitts probably wouldn't put in this play just because it goes against what we're talking about for Kirk Cousins, but under his fantasy score, also looking pretty good. So that's going to do it for this video. Again, don't go too hard. It's 1 game. I feel really good about today. I played a little Euro League. I played a little League of Legends because they have that discount going on. But feeling really good and obviously super excited about the fantasy basketball leagues. I'm trying to give you guys free money. Really take advantage of that. It's free to sign up, and you're going to get into a prize pool of $150 to $500 just by winning a fantasy basketball league. Sometimes that takes luck. Sometimes that takes a whole lot of skill. But check out the links in the description for any of my tools or anything like that. But also get in on the action for this fantasy basketball stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.